Hi everyone, welcome to DIY Ideas. Today we are doing another part 6 of our video series on masks, on face masks that you can use to protect yourself. This of course doesn't protect you perfectly, so safety is not 100% guaranteed as with all of the other masks. So this is what you would do to feel a little bit safer and so that you don't touch your face as much. So you can check out my other videos and just see which masks you find the best or the easiest to do or as best protection. So feel free to do whichever you like. This mask is kind of like the N95 mask. So the shape is like the one from our first video in this series, but this time I'm doing an opening in the middle that makes it possible to change the filter that you put inside. So they are also out of some fabric, but you can do whatever fabric you want, or maybe some online filters or filters that you can find online. But yeah, this fits the masks perfectly and I'll show you how to do that. And this mask also has a line here so that you can adjust it to your nose accordingly. So that way you don't have any air coming in or out of here and it sits better on your face when you wear it. So you'll need fabric scissors, some pins, something to measure with, and then some elastic band. And this time I have a paper clip for the line on top, but you can use whatever metal piece you have or want. Then here is some filter fabric that we're going to use and our cotton. So this is like the N95 mask that you can buy. So first we will do a metal piece on top for adjusting it to the nose. So I'm using a regular paper clip so that when you wear it, it sits on your face nicely. So masks are not effective if you have air coming in or out from the top, the bottom, or the sides. So you definitely want to breathe through the mask and not around it. So that's why I'm doing this nose shape. But the cool thing is that you can, of course, adjust this over and over again each time when you wear it. So this is why I'm using a regular paper clip. Most people have this at home and it's actually a really cool trick to know. And I like this because it keeps its shape when I adjust it. Anyway, these masks also have a lot of filters, so different kinds of layers. You can do fleece or other types of fabric. This time I decided to use dust cloths, so regular dust cloths that you can find in the supermarket. Nothing special this time, but I do want to be able to rewash my masks and reuse them. So this is why I wanted to make it this way so that you can take your filters out and just change them. So I have a couple of layers here. So for 2 filters, I have 4 layers total, but that number is up to you, of course. And I'll show you in a moment how to cut these properly into the right shape. So that's going to be included in the project. So in my other videos, as well as here, I'm using cotton so that I can wash this later at higher temperatures and make sure that it's really, really clean. The cutting and the shape is the same as the one we did in our first video, so there is one change, and that's that we need that opening, that little opening in the middle that's not gonna be sewn together. So do a rectangle here with 13.5 centimeters times 13 centimeters. And then you mark from the top and bottom 3 centimeter marks. Both are the same. On the left side, you do 3.5 centimeter marks down here. And mark. And then 1.5 centimeters on top. Again, do a little mark. Here from the bottom again 3.5 centimeters to the side and mark again, and 8.5 centimeters all the way to the top. And these marks that I did, you can simply connect with another color so that it's easier to see the shape, and that's what you're gonna get. So I'll also hold it for a bit so that you can screenshot it and print it out if you want to, and then you can just sketch this yourself. So I already cut this out, and let me get that really quick. So it's almost the same as the first mask. The only difference is that what we will do now. So you will need 2 times the outside fabric, but mirrored this time. I'll put it underneath the paper, so you see that I added a bit of room here for the stitches that we're gonna do, so they are gonna take up some of the fabric. And I did the same out of my dust cloths for my filters, and you definitely want to keep the paper piece so that you can make new filters every time you want to change them. The next step is the actual difference. So I did the inside fabric, the layer that will be the closest to your face and skin, and then one edge has even more room for the stitches when you compare it to the rest. So 2 centimeters instead of 1. And we will fold this later so that it looks neater, and this edge we will keep open so that we can keep changing our filters whenever we need to. Additionally, I have this little stripe here, so I did it according to the length of my metal line. So that's what you need. And then I'll do like a fabric loop on top so that there's enough room for my paper clip. So this way it won't get out and scratch your face or hurt your face in any way. So this loop is just a double safety in order to prevent that. The elastic band I cut 2 times into 2 20cm pieces, so you can make this longer or shorter depending on its stretchiness and your face size. So we will first prep the paper clip. Make sure you keep it as straight as possible. And now the loop here, so I did about 4 centimeters of width here. This is pretty thin, but you can also use a thicker one, and then you would need a bit more fabric, but mine fits. So I'll align this, I'll do a stitch to form a loop, and then I'll turn it with a safety pin, and that's gonna be our safety layer. That's going to keep our paper clip or our folded out paper clip inside. At the same time, I'm using my main pieces. So the inside layers we don't need for now. So my fabric was really thin, the cotton that I'm using for the outside. It has a lot of room between the threads, and I don't know how well you can see that here, but if you take a closer look at your fabric, you can definitely see how much room there is. So you can always check this by holding it in front of a light source. If you can see through it, it's probably a bit too thin. Or at least not dense enough in its threads. And we do want it a bit denser or a bit thicker so that it doesn't let any germs through, or as little as possible. So I fixed this by doing an extra layer of fabric with this. And I did the same with the inside, and that's why we have something looking like this in my case. Okay. So now just take your pieces and put them pretty side on pretty side. And stitch this rounding. You can also prep your filter layers and do them also together. So align 2 layers and stitch the rounded sections. So just this, so to speak, outside rounded section, and then you have one whole filter. So here is my loop. Now I'll turn it with a safety pin. So take it through one layer of the fabric and just carefully and slowly push it through the inside to turn it inside out. You can do it without it, but it might be a bit trickier. Fix it a bit, and that's it. We can take the safety pin off. Now comes the paper clip. Just push it inside. And that's it. We will put this to the side for now. The outside fabric is also done, so you see the rounded edge that has this lovely stitch. And I did little cuts almost to the stitch itself so that it looks a little bit neater when I turn it inside out. When you're doing something that's not a straight line, it looks a little bit better that way. So let's turn this now. And now you just do 2 more stitches next to this existing one on the left and right side. Also, make sure to separate these 2 leftover bits so that it looks nicer and neater in the end. So I did 2 extra stitches, and now the rounding looks the way it's supposed to, and it will fit on top of your nose nicely. I close the loop where my paper clip is, and this way we're making sure it doesn't slip out, so we want it to stay on the inside and not be a danger to our face, because we aren't going to keep changing that, we don't need to. So this way we're just keeping it where it's supposed to be, safely stored. Here is my filter. So I did multiple layers, but here is 1 out of 2 dust cloths. So you can use any other fabric you find fitting. You can also order real filter fabric if you'd like, and then make these out of that. The stitch is also the same here, and then on here on the outside, because I'm using 2 layers, so just so I keep them together. And that's your filter. Now we need the inside fabric, so for that I have here the same shape cut out, and I also did an extra layer to thicken it. And that extra layer is again not as big, just like the outside piece. This extra centimeter we can fold over that extra layer and then stitch it up so that you have really nice edges that you can work with, since this will stay open, and so that it also makes it easier and nicer. So you see what it looks like now, and now we can put the pieces pretty side on pretty side. And here do a stitch on top about 2 centimeters long, not all the way. So the edge on top and on the bottom about 2 centimeters. That way they are together but not closed, and the opening is still big enough to get the filter in and out. So now that I did this, I did an extra stitch on top, but just the one side, because I didn't open up the little wings on the outside of my stitches. So that's why we don't need to. So this way we get a really neat result, and you can even see how the one layer fits super nicely with the other. So yeah, that's how we get the opening that's almost invisible unless you're directly pulling it open. Now you just need one more prep step. So this loop with your line or stretched out paper clip needs to go onto the main outside piece. So you want to pin this very nicely, and you can start here it is now, the stitch, and now we're almost done, so you can align the inside with the outside, pretty side on pretty side. Pin here all around, and then close it up and leave just a little opening for turning it in the end. But otherwise, all edges should be sewn together, so you're gonna have the top, the sides, and the bottom, of course, and make sure that the stitches are nicely aligned, and then continue. And in the end, leave a little opening so that you can turn it later. So I did notice a little mistake I made when I pinned this. You actually don't need an opening on any edge because we can use the middle opening. So we can turn this whole thing through this middle opening and just do a stitch all around. So here I fixed the corners on all sides, and now we can turn this inside out carefully and patiently. It might be tricky because of the metal piece, so take care. And now if you can take a look, I prepped this side, so turn the corners nicely and align. You can even iron over this if you'd like, and then you can fold the end here. This is the prepped side, 2 to 3 centimeters, or however you like, as long as your band can fit through. And then you can just do a stitch here on the inside. So here, and then push the band through. So pin it first, then you want to do a stitch here, and then you can always do an extra stitch, but this is just optional. So just along the edge so that this lies perfectly aligned and somewhat flatter when you wear it. So just all around a regular straight stitch in order to kind of flatten the whole mask. So now that I finished this step, I did here 2 little stitches as well so that they keep the metal in place and it doesn't slip to the side. And yeah, here are the spots for our bands, so let's get to that. I'm again using my safety pin. And the ends you can tie in a knot or even stitch them. So I like to do a double knot because it's really fast and it's a secure way to keep your band together. A stitch can rip, but feel free to do whatever you prefer. Now that you did this, you can try it on and check how well it fits. So I made a little mistake in the beginning. You're gonna need 30 centimeters and not 20 for the bands. So if you wanna try these on, now would be a good time to try them on and check to see if it fits. So the 20 centimeters could be good for a kid's size. So just so we're clear, if you're doing an adult size, please make sure to use 30 centimeters of band each, so that it sits on your face the right way, but either way, just try it out and adjust the knot the way you personally need it. And when you're done, you want to hide the knot inside the fabric. And that's it. It doesn't itch behind the ear and it looks neat too. And we are done. A mask with a metal piece and a replaceable filter. So you can try to put your first filter inside, but you'll see that it works perfectly. Fix the corners if you need to. Also, make sure that you don't add room for the stitches if you're sewing your own filters, since you don't need that. Otherwise, it will just be too thick and lumpy. So flatten a bit, and now you can try the mask on and adjust the metal section around your nose. You want it tight around your ears, so as tight as possible without it being super uncomfortable, and then adjust your own nose and cheeks so that you don't have any air coming in or out. And this is it. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This is probably the securest one we did in this series because of all the layers it has, but I'll again repeat, this does not guarantee 100% protection, so sadly all masks are just as an extra protection but not perfect protection from the virus or any other germs. So this won't keep you safe 100%, but you won't get it to others as easily and spread it if you're already sick and coughing. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to shoot a thumbs up and subscribe. I hope you found this useful. Feel free to let me know in the comment section what you think, which one from our series you like the best and which one you tried out. You can also subscribe to our channel and stay updated with all of our future videos. So stay healthy, stay happy, and I'll see you in our next video. Have a great day. Bye!